Hey, beautiful woman of God, and welcome back to Couch to Grace. If you're new here, I'm your host, Mariam, and if you're returning, thank you so much for all your love and your support. I really appreciate you tuning in. So, today's episode, I just want to reflect again, just like the previous episode. If you haven't watched it, um, go back and watch the previous episode. So, we were talking about the power of influence and like who you have in your circle matters. So this episode will just be sort of like a continuation from that, and just a reflection, really. Like I've been really reflecting this week on this my season and what God has been doing, how I got here, and it's just been a very, 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 very interesting season. Like I said last week, life has been lifing, and chaos has just been literally everywhere. And in the midst of all of that, God has been gracious, like God's hand has been upon my life and my family's life, and in ways that I can't even explain. So I was just reflecting and I was like, okay, there's a reason why God really wanted me to dive into the book of Esther. So when I explained in the previous episode how I saw the book of Esther in a different light, like God working in silence, and God's name's never mentioned in the book of Esther at all, but we see his hand all over it. Like we see him positioning and preparing Esther before she's announced, like in chapter 1. So all of that just pretty much summed up what God was like has been doing in this season in my life. And I was just like, okay. So that particular week I was very discouraged. Like I was a lot of things that I was praying for and hoping to get didn't happen, and things just didn't go my way. So I was just discouraged, and I'm like, God, okay, what's going on? And yeah, he just kept telling me read the book of Esther, and I was just like, when you're like going through it and you're just feeling like, yeah, I don't even want to sit here and read the Bible, because right now I just want to be in my bed and cry and let yeah, that was me. But again, the Holy Spirit was just like, no, you need to get up and do your thing. So I was just reflecting back, and I was like, you know what? All these little pieces are coming together, and in the midst of all of it happening, I was questioning God and asking God, okay, what's happening? Yes, I want to trust in you, but what's really, really happening? And it's just been a crazy experience where God has literally been revealing himself every single day. And like the minute I have a doubt or like I have discouragement, the next day or even literally instantly or the same day, he reveals something that sort of like makes that doubt disappear, if that makes sense. And I'm like, okay, God's ready for me. He's like, nah, this time I'm like, I'm keeping you close. And that's how I really felt. And then I then read the chapter 2 of the book of Esther. And I was just like, okay, this is interesting. So, chapter 2, now we begin to see Esther introduced in the story. But how she's introduced again, it's not like straight away she's now queen or whatever. She's introduced in a way that chapter 1, the king was angry. He demoted Vashti and all of that. Then in chapter 2, it's crazy again. We see the power of influence in chapter 2. It continues. So that power of influence, the king's attendant is the one that sort of like reminded the king, what the king remembered what Vashti had done and what he had decreed. So to me, there's a long pause like between chapter 1 and chapter 2. I don't know how long the transition between chapter 1 and chapter 2, how long that was, but it said the king remembered what Vashti did and the decree he made. And then again, a power of influence, his attendant is the one that said, let us search for beautiful women, virgin beautiful women, and send words to search. So basically, he then told the king. So the king didn't think of it by himself. So again, power of influence. So he had somebody that was telling him what to do, just like he had somebody telling him what to do to Vashti when she disobeyed. So I was like, this is interesting. So it showed me that in all of that, God was planting a seed of influence in the king's heart to prepare a way for Esther. Because if we look back, like the king didn't have a mind of his own. That's how I see it. Because it's like, yes, he's angry. He did this, he did that. But he was listening to people around him. And it continued in, so yeah, it continued in chapter 2, where it opens with the king remembered, like once his anger went down, he remembered. And then the attendant, like king's attendant, told him, let's search for beautiful virgin women. And like it was very like, yeah, so he listened. So anyway, the other thing that I picked up, I was like, okay, this description was very, very, very specific. It was like, let's go look for beautiful young and virgin women all over the province and continent, whatever, like everywhere. Like, let's search for these women. And to me, I was like, it doesn't just say let's search for women. It says let's search for beautiful, young, and they have to be virgins, like to present them to the king so that they can replace Queen Vashti's thing. So again, I was like, okay, so what are you trying to say here? And I was just like, okay. So the takeaway from this is your appearance matters. And I hate to say it, like, yes, we like to be all like, oh no, appearance is not everything. It matters in this world. And I keep saying that although we're in the kingdom of God, we're part of the kingdom of God, we're still operating in this physical flesh world, and this is what happens in life. Like it's just real. Like appearance matters. So I was like, okay, this ties into the self-care, because I originally wanted to talk about self-care. I was like, I see where the book of Esther can like introduce self-care. Your appearance matters. Don't just be like, okay, yeah, I'm a Christian, I need to, humble myself. No, your appearance matters, and it has so much leverage over a lot of things you don't even understand. Let's just take it back to the world. So if you're in a group of, like, let's just say social media, like brand, your content creator, you're trying to be out there, and brands are looking for somebody like a brand ambassador or something like that. I'm sorry, they're gonna pick, they're biased, and we see it happen all the time. They're gonna pick somebody that's beautiful, somebody that's looking presentable, somebody that will sell their brand. That's literally what it is. And that's reality. Like, no, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, that's just reality of the world we live in. Appearance matter. So as Christian women, we need to really, 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 really look after our appearance. Just don't let yourself go just because you're a Christian. I'm not telling people to go and be doing cosmetic surgery and all that. Like, I'm just saying your appearance matter. Look put together, look elegant, like invest in all of that, because it matters. And we see that is literally what opened the door for Esther. The king had gained favor over her appearance. Like, she was beautiful and she was young, obviously, and she was a virgin, but like the specifications were very, very specific. Like, the description was very specific. And I see it like, okay, so it wasn't just looking for any woman, it was looking for a specific woman who fit that category and that criteria. So then on top of that, amongst the beautiful women and the young women and the virgins that fit that criteria, Esther stood out. So I was like, okay, why did Esther stand out? Because yes, they were all beautiful, but what made Esther stand out more? And then that takes me back to another point that I saw, like favor of man. I know I've mentioned this to say in the last episode, I think, or the one before that, I can't remember, but I did mention to say, like, favor of man is as important as favor of God. So when we're here praying, God, give me favor, or God, bring favor to my life, pray for favor of man, because God uses men to bless you or to open certain doors. So back to the favor of man and Esther standing out. Chapter 2 tells us that Haggai was, impressed by Esther. She won his heart. Like, she won favor over Haggai, and he was in charge of the women and the palace. So you can imagine, like, he then thought, okay, she's my favorite. So he was sitting there giving her the tea and the details of what the king liked and what, like, because he knew the king. He was like in the king's palace, so he knew what the king wanted and what he didn't like. And because he liked Esther, and the favor, like, God opened Haggai's eyes to be able to favor Esther. And again, God is working and planting these seeds to introduce Esther, to be able to position her where she needed to be. He used Haggai to gain favor, and from that she was able to distinguish herself from the other beautiful women, because they were all beautiful and they were receiving treatment. So that's another key thing. Like, self-care matters. They, when they found the women, they put them in the palace and they were to receive beauty treatment straight away. That's what the Bible says in chapter 2, that they received beauty treatments, they received myrrh, they received perfumes, they like oil of myrrh and perfumes and cosmetics, meaning makeup. So they were put together. They had to undergo all these treatments for 12 months before they could even be presented before the king. So that shows how important, like, this woman had to be presentable to be able to fit the description to be king, to be queen. And I took a step back and I was like, okay, so God was planting a seed of influence. Yeah. So let's say fast forward, Esther's now gone before the king. He likes her. He's like, yeah, she's won his heart. He then promotes her to be queen and all of that. Then I was like, okay. Then the other part, which it just introduces Mordecai's role in this, like in chapter 2. I know it explains further in chapter 3 and the other chapters, but it's a brief entry of like Mordecai discovering a conspiracy against the king. Like, he overheard it and he went to Esther. And I was like, yo, Esther went and told the king. And she made sure to say that this was coming from Mordecai. She gave him credit. She could have just said, oh, my love, I've been hearing this. Da, 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 da. People are trying to kill you. Be careful, blah, blah, blah. But she made sure to mention Mordecai. And to me, I was like, okay. So another key thing was that mentorship matters. Matters. Yes, Mordecai was her cousin and he looked after her because she was an orphan, but she still remembered him. He's the one that instructed her to say, don't reveal your identity, don't reveal that you're a Jew, don't reveal your real identity. And he kept going to the palace to make sure that she was being treated okay during the process of the 12 months treatment. So he was very active in her life, guiding her and making sure, like, he was covering her. So mentorship and covering matter. So the people that you have around you, make sure you have somebody that is covering you when you're not able to discern, or like, even if you're able to discern, but somebody that will cover you and direct you and guide you. Because Esther could have been like full of pride and said, you know what, I don't need to listen to you anymore. I'm where I am. I'm in the palace. So I've got all the authority. I've got the king's ear. I'm the queen now. I don't need to listen to you. But she still listens to Mordecai, even though she had a higher status than him. She still remembered him and she appreciated him. So she now elevated him and brought his name into the palace for him to then receive favor from the king. So she introduces him. So going back in life, when we think we've arrived, and don't forget the people that helped you get to where you are, because you don't know what role they've played in your life and how God has used them to open certain doors and to even put you in that position that you're in. So value the people that are around you, value the people that see you for who you are. Like Mordecai knew Esther, he raised her, so he knew her flaws, he knew her abilities, he knew what she was capable of. And he literally held her hand and said, I'm gonna take you to the king. I'm gonna make sure you're seen, because I know what you're capable of. And in return, she remembered him. She remembered to say, no, this is my guy. Like, he covers me. He's instructed me. Like, so far, he's kept me. He's covered me. He's done, like, he's protected. He protected her by protecting her identity. Because imagine if she had revealed her identity, like, oh, now I'm in the palace. So let me now tell the king, oh, by the way, my real name is Hadassah and I'm a Jew. The king was tapped. I'm sorry, like, he was tapped. He could have been like, yeah, you're done. Like, if he could demote Vashti that quickly without thinking twice, what do you think he would have done to Esther if she had said, oh yeah, now I'm in the palace, I can reveal who I am, who I truly am. So again, God being strategic, like God was all over this, like patience. It's not, you don't have to introduce yourself. Wait for God to introduce yourself. There's some of us, God has told us we're going to be this, we're going to be that, you're going to be this. And you're too quick to open your mouth and start saying, oh yeah, the Lord told me I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And you're announcing yourself before you're even prepared. Like, be careful, because a lot of people are watching. A lot of people are watching. The enemy is waiting for you to to mess up, and he's looking for ways to steal, kill and destroy. So if you announce yourself before your time, before you've gone through a season of pruning, before the season of separation, before the pruning, before the season of preparation, ah, ah, you're literally walking into fire, and yeah, you're gonna get burnt, because we need to be patient to allow God to announce us when the time is right, because God is a strategic God and he's a God of order. He will put things in order in your life first before he announces you. Like, he will break you to mold you, he will prune you, he will take you through a process. Yes, he said you will become this, you will be this, he will use you for X and Y, but it just doesn't happen when you just wake up and you're like, oh, you've become. No, like, becoming is a process. It's literally a process where God takes you through seasons that you need, seasons that will create a certain character in you that will then take it to the next step and the next season. And it's just not, here I am God, and then you go. No, there's a pause between here I am and the go. So when you say here I am God, you surrender, there's a pause. Then he starts taking you through a season of separation, where he separates you from the things that no longer serve his kingdom and no longer serve his purpose in your life. Then once you go through that, he takes you through a season of pruning. He begins to prune your character. He begins to prune you, because he needs to give you capacity, so that when he now gives you capacity and enlarges your capacity to be able to carry and do what he needs you to do, or send you where he needs to send you, you are fit and you are competent to do it. He doesn't send you when you're not ready. He's not going to send somebody that's not qualified. Yes, he qualifies the code, but he takes them through the process. You can't go in a business meeting and tell people, oh yeah, I have this business idea, it can make £1 million in a month and blah blah blah, so invest in it. Da, 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 da. Intentions, yes, you've got good intentions. Like, yes, you've got it. You know what you want to do. You've got it, but there's a process to be able to show that. You need to create a business plan, you need to test out, you need to create a product, you need to create the very thing that you want to sell before people, that's going to make you that £1 million. You can't just have an idea and be like, oh yeah, let me. You can't do that. They'll be looking at you like, oh, that's wonderful, but they need to see something. They need to see something tangible that will make them like, okay, it's proven, you've tested it, yes, I believe in this product, and it's ready for me to, I'm ready to invest in it, and it's ready to go on the market, because you've worked on it, you've worked on the plan, you've now executed that, you've shown how you can go from A to B. And that takes, it's a process. You just don't wake up and say, I'm going to start a business. You invest in things, you educate yourself, you research, you do all of that. All that is pruning. You're pruning yourself, preparing yourself, you separate yourself. So when you're studying, trying to understand how your business will work, there's certain things you're going to give up. You're going to give up maybe sleepless nights, because your day-to-day life is like chaotic, or whatever, you're busy, so you don't have time. So you create time maybe at night, and you sacrifice your sleep, because you need to do a bit more research. You need to get ready to be able to present your business plan to investors. So it's the same thing when God is trying to release us. He takes us through a season, he separates us, removes us from the things that no longer serve us and the people that no longer serve us. He literally just like separates it. And to us, it looks like chaos, or it looks like, disruption. And you're like, God, what's going on? This is not working out. This is not working out. It's not working out because God has other plans, and that is not in the plan of God. So he's removing it, separating you from anything that doesn't serve his purpose. And then after that, he begins to work on you. He begins to work on the inner you. He begins to work on your motives, your heart. He begins to, it's like you become naked before him, like in the spirit, where he just sees you as who you are. And he begins to show you who you are, because he knows, he sees you, even though we pretend. God sees everything. He sees your heart. He sees your true intentions. So in that pruning phase, that's where your flaws are highlighted to you. So he'll start showing you your character. He'll start showing you the things that you need to work on. And then he'll start taking you through life experiences that will create a certain character. So for example, if God knows you lack patience, he's going to put you in situations that you're going to have to be patient. Like, all you would have to do is be patient. Like that's the kind of pruning I'm talking about. Like he prunes you, like he change changes your character, your thinking, your mind. He works on you in that season. Then after he's done that and he's like, okay, you're thinking differently, you're thinking like me now, you're a bit more patient. So he's taking you through life challenges that will create a certain character or a certain person that God needs you to be for the season that's coming. And then once you pass that season, then he now takes you through a season of preparation. So he then begins to prepare you. He prepares things. So in the season of preparations, he releases people that are assigned to you, and then he puts you in front of them to sort of like start, working towards your ministry. He's like bringing people that are connected to your ministry. He's bringing things. He slowly starts introducing things strategically. He just doesn't announce you like bam, that's it, like here you are, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, where did she come from, like what happened. It's a season. It takes you through a season of preparation, and then once you're prepared, then he announces you, just like Esther. So he started with planting a seed of influence in the king's heart. We see that in chapter 1, where that same seed was able to take Vashti out of her position, creating way for Esther. And then it continues with on in chapter 2, creates that seed of influence where it's like, okay, yes, now they're in search for somebody like Esther. So she didn't just go to the king, she was searched. She was, God. The search began, and that was based on the same seed of influence. The king was influenced. So imagine if the king just said, yeah, you know what, I'm not even going to search for anybody, I'm just going to see the next person, that the next woman that I see is it. Because he had women in the palace. Yes, Vashti was queen, but there were women in the palace. So imagine if he just decided, like, I'm not going to listen and search for all these women all over the province, and I'm just going to pick another woman that's already in the palace. That could have been a possibility. But God made sure, again, that seed of influence that he planted made manifest again to make a way for Esther to be introduced. Hey, when I tell you God knows what he's doing, guys. He's very strategic. And the minute you surrender completely. So anyway, that happens. And then you see the seeds that God plants all over this. He plants a seed of favor, Haggai being like, attracted to Esther, and then Esther then becomes this, like, giving her the ins and outs of how to please the king. So when it was her turn to go and present herself to the king, she asked for the very same thing that Haggai told her that the king loved. She didn't ask for anything, because the rule was like the woman would be given anything she wanted and whatever. But that's the only thing she asked for: wisdom, guys. She didn't say, oh, I have arrived, let me get everything I want, I can get everything I want in this place. She remembered the people that God placed in her life, the people that had an influence in her life, and that's what she asked for. And behold, she became queen. Like, he chose her and she became queen. And then she was now sitting in the power of authority to be able to influence the king. So remember, again, I'm sorry, but this got me, like, I was like, yo, okay. So remember, hold on to that power of influence. It doesn't stop there. It continues with Esther. Because imagine now the king's like smitten by Esther. He's like, oh, he's feeling like he's made it. He's back the beautiful queen. Like, that's it. Then when Mordecai then mentions that, and you see the way Esther was used to save the Jews, she was in the king's ear. She was influencing the king, because God had opened that door for the king to be easily influenced already. So it wasn't just like, the king's influence. No, it took. So from chapter 1, we see the influence. The king's just easily influenced, and God made it that way so that it was easier for Esther. Like, he paved the way for Esther to be able to, to have the king's ear, and that led to Esther saving the Jews, because she was influencing the king, and the king didn't even think twice about it. He was just like, yeah, we're doing what you said, because there's a track record of him doing that, because when I tell you God is strategic, you wouldn't think that. So you can imagine when life is happening, then they'll be like, "What's going on? Oh, the king, we've got a new queen, blah blah." God knew what he was doing. He was like, "Okay, this king, he knew the heart of the king." So he knew that the only way that the king would be able to listen, and the only way these Jews would be saved, is if I use this person, because he knew who Esther was and what she carried. He used her, and then he made sure that the king's heart was ready for Esther to be able to influence. That, oh, I'm telling you, that is key. That is golden. I was just like, wow, okay. So what does that say in our lives then? Like, again, be careful who you have in your circle. All this we see, it's God is not mentioned in in that chapter, in the book of Esther, sorry, but we see his hand working. So be careful of people that are around you, and literally analyze, sit there and be like, okay, what role does this person play in my life? And I'm telling you, it's just crazy. And on the flip side, when life seems like nothing's happening, just remember Esther, and remember how God was preparing a way before she was even introduced. Yes, God said you become this. It doesn't mean that he's forgotten you. It means that he's just preparing. He's still preparing. He's still preparing. He's still opening people's hearts to be able to receive who you are, to be able to create a way for you so you don't struggle. He's creating a path. He's going before you to be able to like he's walking so we can run. Like, he is literally going before you, so that when you go through that, and the key thing is you remain in him, because if you don't remain in him, you'll be going this direction and you'll be going this direction, and that's when life begins to look like, oh, things are not working out, because you're not aligned. You need to remain in him and align yourself, so that when he goes before you, he opens doors, you know what door he's opened, so that you can walk straight into it. You don't have to fight to open the door, because God will open it for you. But if you don't align with him and align and position yourself where you need to be, you're going to be struggling to open doors that he hasn't even touched. Hey, hey, you're going to be struggling to open doors that are not even touched by God, because you have your own mind to say, this is where I'm going. But God is like, no, this is where you're going. So you'd be there fighting this door. Meanwhile, there's an open door for you that you just walk through, and that's it. So again, it's not a long episode. I just wanted to encourage you, and I was literally reflecting on what God has been doing in my life, and I was like, okay, yeah. So remember, self-care is important. Look after yourself, present yourself, and invest in your self-care. Go do your nails, go do your hair, do invest, guys. And yeah, position yourself and just wait for God to do his work. Surrender to him totally. Like, let him do what he needs to do. Don't think of plan B, plan C. Because if you start to think on plan B and plan C, you're doubting plan A. And that's what God has literally showed me this period. I was making my own plans with what I was trusting God. He told me I'll do it, but I started making other plans, because it's human of us. I'm like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. I started preparing, not knowing that I was creating a plan B, which meant that, did I really trust God? Because God is my plan A. He needs to be the plan A, plan B to Z. So I don't have to go out of my way to start creating other plans. Yeah. So just, if you've taken nothing from that, just take that. Like, abide in him. I will keep shouting, abide in him, because I'm sorry, that is the only way that you're gonna make it in life. You have to remain in him. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. He is the only way. So, and everything that we're doing and talking about, it's pointless if you don't remain in him. It's all in vain. So remain in him, abide in him, and make sure you look after yourself. We'll talk about mental health and everything else, because trust me, guys, it's packed. I have a lot to talk about. So we'll talk about that in a different episode. But yeah, on the topic of self-care and, positioning yourself, I have just released a planner, a life planner, Couch to Grace life planner, and it's got monthly pages, weekly pages, daily pages, and this will help you plan with ease and grace. Like, life is life in, guys, and I put so much into this plan. I was like, okay, how would I want to plan my life moving forward and be productive and still be a mom and still be a wife and still, make time to listen to the word of God and still be a child of God. So when I sat there, I was like, okay, I need to create a planner that will help women that are in the same position or are just busy and they need something to, they need their life in one book. So this planner is jam packed with everything. It's got affirmations to remind you of who you are, and it's got scriptures. It's got a vision board where you can, put your own vision on there and be praying over it. And it's got a monthly planner, it's got a budget planner, it's got everything you can think of, guys, that will help you plan your life. So yeah, it's available on Amazon now. I will put the link in the description, so feel free, grab a copy. If you liked this video, please like, share, subscribe, and send it to somebody that it might bless. And again, even if you don't know if it's going to bless somebody, just share it and support your girl. The more people we reach, the more we're creating disciples, and that is our key instruction, to go out there and make disciples. So even if you can't do it, just share the content and let people, you never know who will bless. But that being said, thank you so much. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.